Hey guys, welcome to OddbawlWaystoDie, and today we're actually going to be having a quick panel of a bunch of random gamers. I've got a bunch of guys here. There's, of course, me, who you're used to seeing. We've got Chris over here, who's a buddy of mine. Furthermore, we've got D-Ray over there, who you've met before. And you got Ryan over there.
Scary. I'm not dead. Scary Mocha.
And last but not least, we have this guy. We have Matt. Now, there's kind of a funny story behind Matt. He literally just kind of walked into my apartment, and we just kind of accepted him as one of our own. We really just kind of brought him in.
I'm a well-dressed homeless guy off the streets.
And if you're a homeless guy and you say that you like BioShock Infinite, I'll probably take you in and give you pizza and beer.
Lots of beer.
Anyway, side note to start things off, we're going to be going in and talking about the hardware of the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. These are the two devices that we're essentially going to be talking about at this time. Both devices are going to be using the Jaguar processor x86, 8 cores, and they also have 8 gigs of RAM each. Now, the one difference here is that the PlayStation 4 is using DDR5 RAM, which is typically used for graphics cards, while the Xbox One is sticking with DDR3, which does make the PlayStation 4 a little bit better. Both are using 500 gig hard drives, which I'd actually like to bring up here to the panel, you guys. Do you guys think 500 gigs is going to be enough, being that every game is going to need to be installed pretty much on these new devices?
Absolutely not. I don't think that it's going to be enough, especially with the upping of the graphics with all these games. If we're going to have to download everything from the server, I don't think that it's going to be able to hold all the stuff that we're going to need, especially for me. I like to use my hard drive for music. I like to use it for pictures and stuff like that. I don't just use it for games. So I take up a good amount of space without even downloading the games.
Not only that, I mean, you're going to have to be taking into consideration all the downloadable content for all these games. You're already installing the next Call of Duty. Then you have to install the new map packs. Then you have to install the next chapter that might come out for a Skyrim game or whatever is next in the Elder Scrolls Online. I mean, having an MMO RPG installed on your Xbox or PlayStation or whatever, it's going to be crazy. 500 is not enough.
But it will be expandable. So you're going to be able to USB your way into an external hard drive.
Well, yes, that's true. Maybe we were being a little bit too hard.
I think 500 gigs is really small compared to what they could have done.
Actually, one of the things that really kind of surprised me is being that, when, say you're a PC gamer like me, and I know D-Ray is, you try to go to solid state as soon as possible because you want the biggest jump in being able to run games quickly and be able to run an operating system quickly. It's a solid state drive. And solid state drives nowadays, yes, they're more expensive, and yes, it would raise the price of your console, but I mean, you get so much more bang for your buck with a solid state rather than sticking with a regular 500 gig drive.
Yeah, that's a great point. And go back to my expandability. You could easily expand on the hard drive with an SSD. But also, I'm a person who probably is less of not as, I'll say, hardcore as maybe those surrounding me. And I have a 250 right now, and it's honestly been plenty of space. And you have to think about who they're really going after these consoles. It's not necessarily the hardcore gamers, the ones that are going to go in day one, get their consoles, and start playing their favorite shooter. It's going to be the people who are kids with their parents, and everything, and they're just going to be like downloading the couple of games a month or something like that they get allowance for.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're probably going to have problems down the road, though. And you got to think about like a regular DVD now, which we get most of our games on, especially if you have an Xbox and you don't have a PlayStation that can have, a Blu-ray drive. That's maximum about 4 gigs. Now, since everything's going to Blu-ray drive, hopefully, if games are really expanding and going to utilize this, we're going to see those Blu-ray discs really filling up with data. So you're going to be looking about 8-9 gigs per game. So, yeah, I mean, that's a lot to fill up over time, but when you look at these games, especially downloadable content over time, I mean, I really think you're probably going to fill up this 500 gig hard drive. I think, actually, one thing we were all kind of looking over here is that PlayStation 4 is going to have a huge advantage here. Running with Gaikai, which is a streaming game service, if they're able to really perfect this, you're going to be able to stream games. You won't even have to download them. You'll just be able to play them right away, like from the cloud. You're just going to be able to play them, which is also going to fill in really well later as far as additional features with the PlayStation 4.
Depending on bandwidth. If you don't have a good internet connection, streaming will be terrible for games. You have to have a good internet connection.
Well, which is very true, but at the same time, if you do have that option, if you do have bandwidth, that's going to be a really nice option for you. You don't have to put anything on your hard drive. You can just sit there and just play instantly and just bam, there you go. And that's a feature. That's something we're going to get into a little bit later on. But since you've already talked about the hardware, I think we've all said our piece on that. Let's go ahead and talk about the design. What do you guys think about the design of the Xbox One versus the PlayStation 4?
I'm going to throw it out there right now. PS4, sexy.
I'm going to completely agree with you. I think the Xbox One looks like a giant station wagon, and your PS4 is coming out looking like the X3. I mean, it's amazing. I don't even know what an X3 is, but I've heard about it. PlayStation 4 is one. I'm not done.
I think they're both sexy, sleek, and black. That's just me personally.
And I just have to say that the PlayStation 4 is a rhombus.
I think the GameCube is actually the only thing to ever come up to its name. It's a cube. All right?
It's a cube.
The Xbox One doesn't look like a one at all. PlayStation 4, it's got like the 4 little columns, and that's the closest that you're going to get, but the cube is a cube, and thank you, Nintendo.
I would like... okay. The Wii U is a console with the Sega Game Gear attached. Just saying that.
And don't forget, kids, the Xbox 360 is going to be your Xbox One starting a few days ago.
That was one of the questions that I had. Why would you take the Xbox One and put it, like take an Xbox One case, the big square box essentially that it is, and put an Xbox 360 in it and then re-release it as the Xbox 360? It's just really stupid to me.
You're asking that question to the same people that require a camera to watch you at all times. I mean, why did you make it look like the way it does? Why is the previous thing looking the way it does? Why does this thing have to watch me everything I do? Why can't I lend my games to... You know what? Because Microsoft made a terrible decision in everything that they've done. The last thing that they did that I thought was successful other than the Xbox 360 was Windows 98.
Hey, that has nothing to do with design. Just throwing that out there.
You know what? You're new.
Next, we're actually going to be covering the online capabilities of each console, what the online has to offer for each console, and, well, I mean, there's only one console that does it, but who requires it and why, essentially. And I guess in that case, if you don't know already, Xbox One is going to require internet connection at least once every 24 hours. It's going to need to check in. I want to know why Xbox has this. They've never really explained why. I know they've said that to maybe stop piracy. Yeah, Matt?
I have the answer. I know. I don't know. Who the hell knows?
I want to say advertisements. I mean, you've got your advertisements coming up on Xbox 360 right now, but they're not kind of as updated as you would think an advertiser would want to be. You see, for the past month, you see the same game or you see the same deodorant commercial, but if you have to connect every 24 hours, then they're going to get a new commercial out in your face, making more money.
One of the things I think is a big downside for this, I have a lot of friends that are in the military. I actually have 2 of them who are in this room right now, which would actually be Chris on my right and Ryan, who's all the way across the table from me.
Scary mocha.
Now, both of these guys, if they were deployed, say, overseas, these guys would not be allowed to basically play their Xbox. And I know I play with them on Xbox all the time, Xbox 360. It's a big thing.
So this is Microsoft's 3rd console ever. I mean, let's go back 30 years. 1985, the Nintendo Entertainment System was the end-all be-all of gaming consoles at the time. Nobody had even heard of 16-bit, let alone internet connection. As you're working through, you've got your Nintendo, you got your Super Nintendo, you got your Nintendo 64, GameCube, Wii U. Nintendo's 3 consoles ahead of Microsoft. Now, Microsoft should be able to look back and say, oh, this is where they made their mistakes, this is what we should build up on. But you know what? People are allowed to make mistakes. Hence the Sega Dreamcast.
I, for one, really missed the Sega Dreamcast. I think the controller was really innovative, and I think that Xbox actually stole the idea from the...
Anyway, back on topic. You know, one of the things they really like about the online is actually the Xbox 360, because while the Xbox 3... Hey, back over here. Back here. Nobody saw that.
Is he gonna be okay?
No, shut up. Being online is really important to this system, but the thing is, to be honest, most of us who use an Xbox are going to be online. There's not very many of us who use the system offline. There may be occasions when we do, but for the most part, it will always be online. And Xbox is known for having a really good online community. Be it that they're all 12-year-olds and they're all douchebags, is a completely different story. But there's a whole hell of a lot of them you can play with.
I just thought about you playing with 12-year-olds. No, but when you're talking in an international market, not everybody has the internet all over the world. It's actually more rare than you would think it would be. Yeah, there's 300 million Americans, but there's also almost 8 billion people in the entire world. And probably 10% of them have internet. 5% of that 10% probably has fast enough internet to be able to connect every 24 hours. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I would say most of Microsoft market share comes from the U.S. though, so that's what they're catering to.
Yeah, but you can cater to them all you want to, but if you really want to make an impact in the global market, then just pandering to Americans isn't going to last in the long run. I mean, Nintendo first came out in Japan, and that's where they got... I mean, there's billions of people in Japan.
Well, another good point is when I was originally talking about my Xbox One reveal where I interviewed my friend internationally from Sweden, Errol O'Connor, he can't even use most of what's come with the Xbox because, for example, he bought his Xbox in the United States. And if you're not sure what region locking means, this is when he bought his Xbox and he brought it to Sweden when he moved. If he buys a game in Sweden, he can't play it on his Xbox because it's an American Xbox. Say you buy an Xbox in Romania and you buy a game from Russia right next door. You can't play with those together. It's really annoying for people internationally. And that's just that alone. You don't have access to the ESPN, the TV, the Netflix, the Hulu, the Amazon Prime. You don't have any of that internationally. So you basically leave international gamers going, why should I get an Xbox 360? Or I'm sorry, an Xbox One. I really hate that name. So moving on, we've already talked about the online of these features, the design, the hardware, and right now it really looks like the Sony PlayStation 4 is really pulling ahead. I think everyone pretty much agree with that. Pretty much yeses across the board. I'm getting nods, I can see.
And I would just like to throw out there, and I realize this happened before, but personally, PS4 controller over 360 controller. Fine. I'll buy you all beer.
Honest. Xbox One controller is going to be a great controller to play PC games on. That's what I use my Xbox 360 controller for the most. Just saying.
And I know I brought this up earlier to the guys, but my biggest thing on the controllers itself is I play mostly shooters. For me, the ergonomic feel of the Xbox controller, having the joysticks alternated and offset rather than having the PlayStation, they're all up here. I don't feel like I have as good of a grip and as good control over the controller as I do with the Xbox. And I know there are some third-party controllers out there that either allow you to swap the D-pad and the thumbstick, or there are some third-party Xbox controllers that I've heard that will actually work with the PlayStation. But for me, it just doesn't feel as solid and as genuine, and that's actually a big deal to me. I like to have that smooth playability, and I like to have that ergonomic feel with that offset, and that's a huge deal to me.
All right, so now that we've pretty much talked about that, let's talk about some of the other features that these consoles have to offer. And in this case, I actually think Xbox is in a really good running of being able to do something really neat. I know pretty much every hardcore gamer really hates the Kinect system. I mean, no one really wants to stand up and wave their arms in front of their console in order to get it to do what they want to do.
Because Americans are fat.
Hey!
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
It's truth.
So, when you talking to your console actually isn't that bad. I like being able to give orders audibly and tell my console what to do, which also can be kind of annoying, but once again, I haven't used this new improved Kinect. But at the same time, I'm really impressed with the Xbox Smart Glass. Being able to use this on your computer or your tablet or your phone is really neat. I'll give you a good example of what I've been using already. I have a touchscreen computer that's connected to my Xbox. And whenever I'm playing Halo 4, for example, I can bring up all of my stats in real time as I'm playing Halo 4, and it will display those for me. And that's just a really cool thing to see my KD for the last match, where I got killed, what weapon I did best, without having to go through anything else in the game. If you start adding that with abilities such as being able to put your loot there, your icons, the inventory system, all of the menus on a separate screen, and able to keep the game more cinematic in and of itself, that's going to leave some really good gaming atmosphere. Really good gaming quality, I think, too.
Smart Glass Pit Boy.
While the Xbox Smart Glass is fairly cool, can you imagine if they had it required? You had to have a tablet, you had to have a phone that could play your Xbox Smart Glass. I think that's what they're doing with their Kinect. I mean, you have to have it connected, it has to watch you, you have to do your voice commands. It's creepy. It creeps me out, especially with all the NSA stuff going on. I'm not saying that Obama is sitting behind a laptop going, "Oh, let's watch Scary Mocha's Xbox today." But still, I mean, what information are they grabbing off? I mean, are they gonna say, "Oh, well, we can tell that 95% of gamers own red couches"? Well, how about you quit staring into my living room because I do weird things on that couch.
Don't worry, it's not going to be color balanced well enough for to know that. But think about it. Like the tablet market is probably the fastest growing computing market out there right now. Everybody has a tablet. Because let's be real, when they say, "Hey, smart glass, your tablet," they're saying iPads, which is the most popular thing right now.
Which
Yes.
even then, at that point, like I really don't think that they're going to go that far with it. I don't think you're ever going to be able to have a game where you're like, this game only works if you have a tablet. I mean, if it gets to that, I think people are going to be burning down Microsoft's headquarters.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to say.
Maybe not that far, but you get the idea.
How many people at this table have a tablet?
Me.
2 out of 3.
Well, my phone is huge, so it's kind of a tablet.
2 out of 5. Wow, did I say 2 out of 3? How many people here have a tablet?
Me.
2.5 out of 5, because Oddball has a very large phone that could be a tablet, but it's not a tablet. So.
Yay, Note 2!
It's a phablet.
It is a phablet.
Phallus.
I stole it from him. It's right here.
This message not brought to you by Samsung.
His phone number, NSA, if you're listening, his phone number
They're not
is... Oh
paying
wait,
for
who am I
this.
kidding? You've already got it.
Now we've talked about the features of the Xbox a little bit, and I think these really can bring some innovation into gaming. But let's talk about what the features are of the PlayStation 4, which I think the main thing here is that with Gaikai's technology of being able to stream games, they're literally talking about, being able to bring all past PlayStation library games, be it PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, even PlayStation 1 games, to your PlayStation 4, and you can just stream them right away if you ever want to go on a throwback. And that's a really nice thing to add, especially with PlayStation Plus.
Isn't Gaikai a subscription service? Would it be...
It's not any... Well, I mean, you have to subscribe in a way, I'm sure, via... I'm not 100% on this, but through the PlayStation Plus, you have to be part of that, which the PlayStation Plus is $50, I believe, per year, which is cheaper than the Xbox Live subscription. Xbox Live Gold.
So for Gaikai, it would be interesting to know if it's going to work like the way XBLA, the Xbox Live Arcade, or the Wii U, whatever their marketplace was, where you buy the game and then you can play it. Or if it'll be like a streaming service where you pay a subscription amount every month and you can play their library. That's a big difference for me. I would totally pay for the subscription service. Paying for each individual game would be maybe a little much.
What I would really like to see is if Sony came out with... Well, at E3, they talked about their cloud gaming, where you would have a large library of PlayStation 3 games available to you. I didn't hear anything on if it would be if you would have to pay for the game, or if they would have a subscription service for their cloud service. But what I would like to see, I mean, it's 2013. By the time this console comes out, it's going to be 2014. I would like to be able to put in my old Final Fantasy VII game, and then it connects to their cloud, and I own the game. So I put in the disc, it says, "Oh, we've got this available on our cloud system. Here, go ahead and download this game." Or give me the option to buy the game if I don't have my copy of Final Fantasy VII. You're cutting your own sales by cutting off your own library. I mean, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, that's where a lot of us started our hardcore gaming. I mean, a lot of us grew up playing Mario, but I don't really remember sliding down the flag a whole lot.
Well, for that, it would take, you're talking about hardware requirements, so they may not be able to read those old discs. So they'd be able to read CDs or whatever, but they may not be able to understand the way the disc was formatted.
Where it was coded.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then just give me the option on the cloud to go back to those old games.
You could give like a UPC code for the game. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to backtrack a little bit. Speaking of games and having these games be an option to be free, is that we all know that through PlayStation Plus already hands out basically free games all the time. Like right now, if you had PlayStation Plus subscription, you have you can get games like XCOM, Enemy Unknown. You can get games like Deus Ex, Human Revolution, and just download it. It doesn't cost you a thing. Just because you have that subscription. Those are really nice titles, too, that have been out. Some of them have been out for a while. I know Deus Ex has been out for a long time. But that's a really good A+ game. Now, on a side note, it's kind of funny because you see Xbox Live Gold kind of trying to market on this thing, in a way trying to say that they're sorry for a lot of the decisions that they have made, or at least that's the way I took it. I don't know if you guys took it the same way, but with the Xbox Live Gold now, they're giving out 2 free games a month, and here's the catch, up until the release of Xbox One.
Boo!
Backtracking a little bit even more to what Oddball was just talking about, a lot of people seem to be confused about this PlayStation Plus free games, what's going on. You don't get a free game to download, kind of like the Xbox is giving you right now until the release of the Xbox One. Imagine it like Netflix. You subscribe to Netflix, you get all these movies. Now, if you don't pay for your Netflix subscription, you don't get to just keep all the movies you watched beforehand. Imagine that just like PlayStation Plus. You get to play these games for free because you're subscribed. You also get access to all this other stuff. And it looks like with the PS4, they're requiring PlayStation Plus for multiplayer with a lot of these games.
Yeah, so basically they're doing the same thing that Microsoft is already doing with Xbox Live. But yeah, you're right, you don't get to keep that game, but those games are constantly rotating. I mean, what is it? Usually like 3 or 4 games every month that they're rotating. And a lot of times they'll repeat throughout the year. So if you miss a game, in January, it's probably going to come back in like June or something.
I feel like there is a service that already gives you free access to games to play over the weekend, and they also usually have a sale on that, like 50 or 40% off the game. I think it starts with an S.
He's talking about Steam, but my beef with the PC Master Race is you can't build a PC for $399 that has the graphical capabilities of the PlayStation 4. You're not, without running these games windowed at very low graphics levels. I mean, it's not possible.
You will be assimilated.
You will be part of the body.
You're gonna assimilate me, but it's gonna cost a lot more than $399.
I play my PC games on a Mac.
Get out! Dead! John, Oddball.
So going back to what I was saying earlier about Xbox Live Gold, while Xbox is giving away 2 free games, they're really giving away old titles. I mean old titles. The 2 that they offered up the week of, or I guess you could say the month of E3, is Halo 3, which is, behind Halo Reach and behind Halo 4, and Halo Anniversary Edition.
ODST.
And ODST.
Wars.
On top of it, and Halo Wars. It's only, was that 4? Was that 5 or 4 games behind the system? And then the
Plus,
other
on
one
top
is
of that, anybody that gives a shit about Halo already has Halo 3.
And the other game that came out is going to be coming out. It's Assassin's Creed 2, which, in my opinion, isn't even the best in the franchise. You still have Brotherhood, and you have 3, and now you have Assassin's Creed 4?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Don't you mean Assassin's Creed Black Lag?
Too soon.
See, personally, I think that if they're going to do this free game download, they need to stay away from like the main franchises, because the people that follow these franchises, like I stated earlier, they already have all of the games in order leading up to the current one. They need to come up with some free indie games or some games from back in the day that didn't that hit platinum but weren't part of a big franchise. Those are the ones that they need to be downloading.
Can I hear it for some Viva Pinata?
No.
So guys, as far as features are concerned, who do you think wins in the features department? Is it the PlayStation 4 with its instant downloading and instant streaming capabilities, or is it going to be the Xbox with the Smart Glass and Kinect?
So I'm honestly going to call this one a tie, because some of these things like Smart Glass already exist. I mean, I'm already using my iPad, with my 360 sometimes. And some of these other things, like the streaming through Gaikai, is not there yet. I mean, we don't know if it's actually going to be what we think it's really going to be.
I'm also actually going to back them up saying that it's going to be a tie, because personally, I don't see either system coming out with anything extremely innovative. Going back to what Ryan said earlier about comparing the cloud thing to Netflix, that kind of concept has been out for quite some time. And like he said, Smart Glass has actually already been around for the Xbox since the current generation right now.
All right, so I guess at this point we'll call it a tie. You know, and personally for me, it's about a tie too. I really like the smart glass experience. It's really great for me. Kinect could be there, Kinect could not. I really don't care either way. And I also really like the idea of being able to just play a game on any device I have, being able to pick up my smartphone and be able to play a PlayStation 4 game on it, or being able to play a PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3 game, or being able to throw it on my PlayStation 4 and not having to wait for it to download. All that seems really interesting to me, but we really haven't seen it implemented yet. Alright guys, and of course one of the biggest things we're going to want to see from these consoles, and that's going to help us choose which console to pick, is going to be the games. And first of all, we're going to start out with indie titles. Which system did the best to help indie titles the most? I'm going to start out and say, honestly, I think the Xbox has really dropped the ball on this one. Microsoft has decided that indie developers that want to come to the Xbox One have to go through official publishers. And those who go through Sony PlayStation aren't going to have to. They can publish the games themselves. And that right there is a big boon to indie developers. And I think that's going to be a huge push. And we think we saw that in E3.
I'm also going to back you up saying that the indie developers that worked with the Xbox 360 hated it. There's a movie, it's on Netflix right now, or it was last time I went and looked, called Indie Game the Movie. And it follows the guys that are doing Super Meat Boy, Fez, and it even touches on the guys that did Braid fairly quickly. And they said that they will probably never work with Microsoft again because there's so many hidden fees. You have to go through them for anything that you want to get done, and they just hated it.
The main thing from that movie is the developers of Super Meat Boy getting super pissed off because they could not find their game on the marketplace.
Yeah, and to back that up a bit more, I actually saw a conversation with Jonathan Blow, guy behind Braid, yesterday, and he talked about his experience with Sony thus far, and he had nothing but fantastic things to say about them, and not only from the perspective of working with them as somebody who wants to publish a game on their system, but also just like how they treated him at E3 and just all around, nothing negative to say at all.
I think one thing really important that we're seeing from Sony here is that they've really reached out to developers, including indie developers, and asked them, what did you want in a console? How can we basically please you? How can we bring you to Sony? How can we have you develop for us? And that's been a huge boon. We see tons of indie developers. Just at E3, at once, they brought up, 9 different indie games and just had them all playing at once and said almost all of these are going to be exclusive to PlayStation 4 during release. One of which I think you really liked, Matt.
Yeah, Transistor. It's a fantastic game. By the way, can I just say real quick, how cool was that to see each one of those developers step out in front of one of those screens that they had across the bottom of the stage and then have them playing and had their game playing on that?
I think it was a brilliant idea. When they brought out something like that, they're just really showing this is all the investment we've done. I also really like the commentary. I don't remember what game it was specifically, but they said, we brought them out on stage specifically because they thought that we wouldn't bring them out on stage. So there they are. And I thought that was really funny, a good bit of comedy there. And it just shows how much Sony is really trying to dedicate to the gamer base right now. Because a lot of these indie developers are just people who want to start making their own games because they love gaming. And if you can really pull these guys onto your side, they're going to take a lot of the gaming public with them.
So yeah, in contrast there of Sony bringing out all those developers and everything for all these different games, which by the way, like I said before, Transistor, probably the best of the best so far. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong guys, but all the only indie game that Microsoft brought out, and I kind of use indie game loosely at this point, was Minecraft.
Matt,
Xbox
I would actually completely agree with you in this aspect. It's really funny because when they start out the speech actually talking about Minecraft, they come out and say, Xbox has helped so many indie developers do this, and we've really done this. And they talk a lot about indie developers, and they're like, we have this one game that's already out on Xbox, but there's kind of a special version for Xbox. What?
And not only Xbox, but it's out on everything else that a video game can be played on.
It's on the Game Boy Advance SP. I don't.
It's but it's on the Dreamcast.
It's on the iPhone too.
And it's on my phone.
It's not a phone. It's a phablet.
The main thing I said for indie, though, I have to advocate PC gaming because. Is the PlayStation 4 going to be as good for indie developers as PC gaming is already? as far as Steam Greenlight and all those things go.
Well, it will be, but for consoles, because I mean, we're still talking about the PC market. It's still
Relatively niche.
It is, yeah, exactly. It is a very niche type of market, and the consoles are the gaming machines, if you will, that really bring the games to the masses. Microsoft was doing that at first, throughout this. I'll go ahead and say previous generation. But now Sony has really been taking the reins here within, I would say, the last year or so, and they are really become the driving force for getting indie games in front of the typical consumer.
While we're on the topic of PC games, you're seeing a lot of their PC exclusives coming to the consoles. Diablo 3. It's coming to both the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. Then you have other games that I first saw on Steam, talking about indie games. That game Don't Starve coming to the PlayStation. First saw that on Steam. Warframe, saw that on Steam. PlanetSide 2, while it is a Sony game, it was originally a PC exclusive. Now I'm seeing it on the PlayStation 4.
Which, unfortunately, you're probably at least not for a while going to see a being able to be on PC playing PlanetSide 2 and fight someone on PlayStation 4. We probably won't see something like that for a while, and still won't. But you're also looking at, not only are they getting Diablo 3, but they're going to be getting more Blizzard titles. And that in and of itself, I got to say, it's kind of sad, but I kind of thought World of Warcraft for PlayStation 4. I mean, they already have Elder Scrolls that's going to be coming there. It's an MMO. You see a lot of these PC games kind of coming to PlayStation 4. Just saying, it could happen.
I'm just going to throw it. Nobody cares about World of Warcraft anymore.
Except for the millions of people that still play it.
I was going to say the 9 million subscribers that are still... Anyway, the last time that we saw a attempt at a lot of cross-platforming gaming was with Xbox. The Xbox released those Windows-only PC games like Shadowrun, and it came out on the Xbox 360 as well, and you were supposed to be able to play against people on the Xbox and on the PC, and it tanked.
Now, if I remember right, now my memory may not be serving me completely correctly, but when Halo 2 actually came out for PC, they originally did it to where PC gamers could go against console gamers, and PC gamers destroyed console gamers in mass.
Because you could get Steam on PlayStation 3, I'm pretty sure, and you could play some games with PC gamers. That was the main thing. First-person shooters, PC gamers destroyed console gamers because of mouse and keyboard and controller being so much different.
As much as you may love your controller, just ain't as good as my mouse and keyboard, baby.
Try playing Guitar Hero on a mouse and keyboard.
Exactly.
Fuck you.
Next!
Dance Dance Revolution with the arrow keys.
They have that.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I used to play that all the time.
What's that game?
That shit was fucking awesome.
It was built just for the keyboard.
Yeah, no, it was, and you could.
Stepmania.
They actually had people would take all the songs and create it for it and everything, and that shit was pretty rad back in the day.
All right, guys, to close things out, last but not least, I think so far, who do you guys think? We're going to go through one by one. We're going to start with Matt here. Who do you think is going to be winning this console war? No, we're not going to add price. We're not including price in this.
Can we?
But not including price, who do you think has a better console?
PS4.
PlayStation 4.
A new video card for my computer.
I think it's actually a tie if you negate the price.
I think in this case, I need to give a slight edge to the PlayStation 4.
We have a winner!
So in this case, now if we're going to take that, we have PlayStation 4 as the winner, but then we go when we add price, and I think you guys can agree that PlayStation 4 wins that battle hands down once again.
Yeah.
So my hand's going down.
If someone held a gun to my head, PlayStation 4. Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in with this random panel of gamers that I've pulled in from a lot of different walks. We've got guys who are Nintendo fans here. We've got guys who are PC gamer fans. I think we pretty much covered the board. And overall, I think in this case, if you're trying to decide what console you want to get, I think PlayStation 4 is going to be a way to go this time around.
I'd actually like to do one last vote here. With a show of hands around here, how many of us sitting around the table own an Xbox 360 or a PlayStation 3 at the moment?
Actually, in this case, I think the main question would be how many of us actually own Xboxes. Because if we make a ruling in favor of Sony and we all own PlayStation 3s, that's unfair.
I do not own a PlayStation 3, and I own an Xbox 360. I have an Xbox 360. I was very loyal to them, and I do not have a PlayStation 3. I didn't like the PlayStation 3.
Okay, Ryan?
I own an Xbox 360. I do not have a PlayStation 3.
I actually own both, but I will give the edge to the Xbox because it gets more of my time.
I actually own a Xbox 360.
Just an Xbox here.
So basically what you're seeing here, you just had a table of 5 Xbox gamers who, if they had to decide and pick a console for this next generation, it's PlayStation 4 all the way. So guys, until next time, I'm Oddball of OddbawlWaystoDie. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned, there's more to come.